Hi, I'm Valerie Bodell. Today I will be discussing and demonstrating several comics elements and drawing stick figures. When you read McLeod and Eisner, you will learn about icons, symbols, and stereotypes. I'm just going to briefly define them today so that we're all on the same page, so to speak. Icons resemble what they stand for. This is an icon of a flag. Symbols do not resemble what they stand for. This is a symbol of the United States of America. Stereotypes have a bad connotation, but are used extensively in many comics. People use stereotypes to generalize and categorize things about their world. A stereotypical character is instantly recognizable. If I told you I was going to draw a story about a bull, you might think of an aggressive animal that attacks anything and everything that is red. Another example would be the stereotype of an elephant as an animal that never forgets and is afraid of mice. I also want to differentiate between comics and cartoons. Comics is a medium. Cartooning is a style of drawing that is often used in comics. Cartoons are very iconic. The images look like what they represent. So that brings us to stick figures. Stick figures are icons of people. So the basic stick figure is a head, body, 2 legs, and 2 arms. Let's try a story. This is me. You can tell it's me because I have a scraggly ponytail. I usually wear my hair this way. And I am walking my dogs. I have 2 dogs, a small one with a curly tail, and a large one with a mostly straight tail. I'm going to differentiate between the end of my arms and the beginning of the leashes with hands. And I'm going to draw a box around this image. I'm not used to drawing on a computer. Okay, this image is one panel of my comic. This line that I've drawn around it is the frame. So I have framed my panel, and when I start my next panel, I leave a little space. This gap is called the gutter, and this gap allows you to change time and or place. It could be as small as a second, as long as eons, as small a distance as a couple of millimeters, or as large as a galaxy far, far away. I'm not going to do anything nearly that exciting. Let me draw in my next panel here. I want to make sure you know what this is, so I'm labeling it. Okay, and draw the rest of my panel around it. Okay, so we have a label, in case you're not sure what that says. It says coon. This is a raccoon. He has a striped tail and he's running. I've made a couple of design decisions here. I've put this small panel on the same line as the panel with the 2 dogs in it because it makes sense to have the raccoon in front of the dogs. You might be able to imagine what's going to happen next, and it just made more sense for me to have him in front of the dogs. We also have motion lines showing that the raccoon is running. And the smaller panel also has you read it more quickly than a longer panel. So it works for me in several ways. Sure enough, in the next panel, my body is being pulled forward by the dogs as they begin to run. They're running, their legs are farther apart, and they're back and forward. Their legs are both together. In other words, they're not stepping. So their heads are a little bit forward. here's my ponytail flying out behind me. And my next panel. Oops. And as you will soon learn, I cannot draw a straight line. Even if I was doing this on paper, I couldn't draw a straight line. So don't let that bother you. Next, we see things are entirely out of control. I've given myself a mouth so I can demonstrate how out of control they are. I'm running as fast as I can. I can't even actually run that fast. The dogs are reaching their speed. Their legs are pretty far out. Their heads are forward. And here comes another couple design decisions here. A couple things I'd like to point out. And if I were drawing this as a real comic, quote unquote, I might make some of these decisions a little more consciously. But in this one, I decided to make the panels move a little bit to the right. Kind of help show some motion maybe. Let me put a few more motion lines in here. I'm pretty sure you know these guys are running, but... And for this last panel, I've made the frame go off the page. This does a couple of things for me. It makes it look like we could continue running for an incredible amount of time. But it also makes a little bit more suspense. And just like as you change panels, you can change the story. As you change pages, you can change the story. So we don't know what's going to happen next, but let's take a look. In actuality, the dogs have pulled me over, and I want to indicate that I have managed to land face up. So I put my nose on the top, my hair at the bottom, my toes are pointing up. There's going to be drag marks behind my heels as the dogs are still pulling. Here's my hands above my head now, and here's the dogs. Now, instead of running flat out, they are working hard. They're digging their toes into the ground. I'm trying to show that, but I'm not too good at it. Their heads are down. They've got their shoulders into it now. Here's the big dog. Oops. I can't blame all of this on using a computer, but maybe some of it. I meant to draw his head down, but that's okay. You're getting the idea. They're working at this. They believe they can still catch that coon. Okay, next, the dogs have given up. I get a chance to relax a little bit. I've got my knees up. My hands are still above my head. But now the dogs are sitting. They've realized that they're not going to be able to catch the coon. And they're looking back. What the heck is wrong? There we go. Now we could end this comic here. And if I were going to do that, I probably would have made these panels larger and take up the whole page. But I've decided that I'd like to have close-ups to show you each of our reactions to what has happened. So here's mine. I've got an eye, a nose, and a mouth. I'm saying, phew. The rest of my body is not going to be visible, because I want to have room to show what the dogs are doing as well. So here we have the small dog. She is, it's not cooperating quite, but there we go. She is a little worried. She's wondering, why aren't we still going? Here's the big dog. See if I can do his head a little better than hers. I'll draw the tongue separate. Yeah, that worked better for me. There we go. Now this is not his first rodeo. He knows that we don't chase and catch things while we're on the leashes. Oops. Oops. Okay, lots of oopses, but you'll find out in the next comic that that's not so unusual for me. I would not have normally drawn their leashes through the gap, but that's okay. And I also don't generally put the ends on stuff. But if you want to make sure that your readers know this is the end, you certainly can. Let me just say this is easier with pencils. At least for me it is. Okay, there we go. And we will try another story with more characters. This story is from my childhood, and it has a lot more characters, so we will need to introduce everyone. Let me get that out of the way. There we go. In this comic, everyone will have clothing so that I can differentiate between the people better. And this is my dad. You can tell because he has a mustache. Curly hair doesn't work. There we go. Put some more. All right. Here's my mom. She wore glasses. I'm laughing because the image shows up just a moment after I draw it, which is, to me, funny. All right, she's wearing a striped apron. All right, and the rest of the cast of characters. Here's my brother. He also has curly hair and wears glasses. All the kids in this story will be wearing t-shirts and shorts, so you'll know that I'm drawing my mom when I'm drawing an apron and my brother when I'm drawing a t-shirt. This is David. He's my older brother. All right. Here's me. When I was younger, my hair was not long, so I did not wear it in a ponytail. All right, here's my sister. Now I'm going to have a problem because my sister and I are very much alike. We still are very much alike. So I need a way to distinguish the two of us. She's younger. Her name is Jenny. So I'm going to give her a dark t-shirt. That way you'll know which one is her and which one is me. Okay, and we had a dog. And she had a fluffy tail, unlike the skinny-tailed dogs in my last story. And a cat. I guess I better label these. I'm hoping you can tell, but this is Wendy, the dog. And here's the cat. Give her a face. There we go. This is Susanna, the cat. Okay, there's our cast of characters. And now we're ready to start the story. I don't think you'll get confused. We'll start with my dad. Yeah, writing is hard too. I should have practiced with one of these. But that's okay, that way I feel as uncomfortable doing this as some of you might feel when you start out drawing. And it just takes practice. Okay, this is a speech bubble. This is a label. I hope you can read that. That says plate of spaghetti. Okay, so I'm differentiating between the speech bubble, which has a circle around it pointing to the person who's speaking. In fact, it's kind of pointing to his mouth even. And the label, which has no shape around it. Here we have another label. Oops, my shorts didn't finish there. There we go. And you guessed it. This is me. Now, the reason I labeled my last plate of spaghetti is so that you'll know what I have in my hand. And let me also point out the perspective is weird. I'm not going to even worry about it. My dad is not spilling his plate of spaghetti. He's actually holding it upright. But in order for you to see what it looks like, I drew it from a weird perspective. Okay, so mine is spilling. Here's the spaghetti. Here's the dog. All right. I'm going to draw David's mouth first, since I seem to be having trouble fitting everything on. This is David. If I hadn't told you, you would know because he's going to be not wearing an apron. He thinks this is the funniest thing he has ever seen. He's the good child in this story. He's already sitting at the table. All right. Now you probably already know who this is, but just in case you don't, I'll make her t-shirt dark. This is Jenny, and here's the edge of the table. And she has just taken a big swallow of milk. So when she starts laughing, the milk comes out. And as she turns to look at what's going on, her elbow hits her glass. I'm not sure if you can read that. That says milk. Her elbow hits her glass and it spills on the table. Here's the table leg. Here's the milk. Here's another chair. All right, this is the cat getting an unexpected treat. And there is one more person. Let me draw her over here. And you can probably guess who this is. This is my poor mom, who is thinking, oh my gosh, look at this incredible mess. She hated when I said oops, and I said it a lot. I still say it a lot. She's thinking, oh man. Okay, so I would consider this one panel. And we are used to reading from top to bottom, left to right. So I trust that we will all start out here at the top left and read in order. And obviously there is a time order also. So we're reading what happens. We see that my dad says, watch out for thee. That obviously happens before I trip. And I obviously trip before the spaghetti spills on the dog. And I spill spaghetti and trip before David starts laughing and before Jenny spews her milk. So there is definitely a time element, even though we have not separated this panel, this one panel, into more than one panel. Creators often separate the speech with balloons to make it stand out from the background. And I usually do not do sound effects. Oh, but I could have done one here. I was going to say I usually don't put them in balloons, but here's her elbow bumping the milk. And we could put David's laughter maybe in a bubble, perhaps to show that it's particularly loud, particularly funny. But those are design decisions up to you. And one of the best things about comics is you get to make those decisions. When you create a comic, you design it, you're the one that knows what you're trying to communicate. The rest of us that are reading it, we'll never know what designs you've rejected. We're just going to see your finished product. So there's a lot of flexibility. You can do almost anything you want. And I can't wait to see what you come up with. Thank you.